liberty.
Ultimately, as helping the citizens of Philadelphia advance the plan, what are our roles, and what were the roles that were played here in New York that might be useful for us to learn from? Are there any ideas that we can export, not whole cloth, but what are some of the parts and pieces that they've done here that may be of interest and use for us, both functional as well as otherwise in Philadelphia? What's the quality of the public realm? How have they made this? What are the materials like? How's the attention to detail? That's way down the road, of course, but I think it's never too early to start thinking about quality, because certainly from our perspective, this is one of our goals for Philadelphia. What are the obstacles that they faced, and how did they overcome them? Clearly, that's a critical piece for us as we move forward. And likewise, what are the challenges that they set before them now? Even though they've had great successes, are there challenges still that lie ahead? One piece which I think is critically important to our work, and certainly in parts of this, such as Battery Park, I think we'll be able to get a sense of what's the balance between public good and private development. To me, that's really at the core of our work in Philadelphia, and I constantly go back to the work of William Penn, which was both a real estate experiment and a holy experiment. So in our DNA, we have this kind of sense of how you balance the public good with private development. How did they do that here in the kind of bastion of capitalism? And ultimately, how did they create a vision? What were the mechanisms? What were the kind of the outreach tools? How did they put it into place? How did they implement it? All of these, I think, are going to be fodder for us as we move forward. My sense is none of it is going to be directly applicable in a concrete way, but I think ultimately it's going to give us the working capital to move our vision forward.
25 years of development in this project. We start almost all the way down at the Battery with a very, very thin little ribbon that's just the bikeway, walkway, and a small piece of upland park. We end 5 miles north at 59th Street. We're about, I would say, 35 to 40% take the traffic out of the neighborhood and put it into the river underground. We have a facility at 23rd Street called the Chelsea Pier Sports and Recreation Center. That's one of our tenants. And up further north at 43rd Street is the Circle Line and World Yacht, who is also a tenant. And facilities were actually all here when we started, but they were brought in through the legislation to the park area for the sole purpose of allowing us to be able to collect the revenues that they generated and mandating that they be spent on operations and maintenance.
The river, the depth of the park, the size of West Side Highway, which is similar to Columbus Boulevard or Delaware Avenue. I mean, there's a definite relationship with parts and pieces here that are similar to what we have in some of our areas. And I think the critical thing here is that a building that's 12 stories tall makes a nice edge to this size of a park.
Soccer facility inside.
This is a facility that we started operating about a year and a half ago.
That's Pier 34.
You know what the tower part is?
No.
That's the ventilation system for the Holland Tunnel.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. That's where all the car exhaust comes up.
Oh, that's
And you see the one on the other side?
That is too cool. That's awesome.
It's at least 10 stories. Might be more than that.
Live birds.
Before you board the bus and head back to the Planning Commission. Meet with Gridlock Sam, who is
a little over a mile. We have 35 acres of park here, which we're pretty proud of. It's about 38%. We look at what had been done. This was again 1999. The only green building at the time in the city was 4 Times Square, which is a commercial building developed. Here are all of the green buildings. Every building built now is green in Battery Park City. These are different sedums. Yeah, it's a ground cover that uses very
Voltaic mirrors. You see those? Like sunlight. Helios. Strange marriage of events and plants.
Of this and other recent rezonings here that we have 2 miles of waterfront facing Manhattan, Underlying the basic goals of this process were to take that kind of activity and vitality from the neighborhood and extend it to the
into
water.
the pot of, through the creation of the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation. Activities that we wanted to tap into was this idea of a revitalized waterfront. The new